Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tomorrow's Weather Today. Today I have an update on the tropics in the Atlantic, and before we get started I would ask for you all to make sure to subscribe and leave a comment and like this video. So we have two areas of interest in the Atlantic. I'm going to be mainly focused on this one, which is 96L. This one in yellow is 95L, and then this one is 96L. 96L is set to impact land the earliest or the soonest, and then 95L looks to be later, um, but I'm not as concerned about this one forming as it has a 20 to 30% chance of forming. So we're going to take a look at 96L, which has a 50-50 shot over the next few days, as this will come into Georgia tomorrow, likely, or Tuesday. Taking a look at satellite imagery of the system, we can see there is some convection firing on especially the northern side, and we do have a closed low-level center. If we look closer, we can see winds out of the south on the eastern side, out of the north, on the western side, out of the east. On the northern side, if we take a close look, we can see some westerly winds on the southern side, which does show that we have a closed low. This is looking a lot better than models had predicted it would, or had over the past few days. But first, let's take a look at our water vapor imagery, what we can see. So we have an upper level low to its east and its southwest. Now, this isn't really imparting shear on it, it's just limiting its ability to create upper air outflow channels, which helps the storm breathe and get stronger and drop pressure. This one in particular, this low level or this upper level low, is imparting some dry air onto the system. We can see that in the darker grays here, and we can see that on the models. But before we go to that, let's take a look at our ocean analysis. It's somewhere in this area, and it has plenty of warm waters to work with as it moves towards the Georgia, South Carolina coast. Taking a look at our GFS model, we can see here's our area of low pressure. So it doesn't have that closed low in the wind barbs. Even on 10-meter winds, if we go to 10-meter winds, you can see it doesn't have a closed low there. So going back to our relative humidity, you can see that dry air on the southeastern side and eastern side of the system, with all that deeper moisture off to the north and east. And if we take this ahead, the dry air still stays with the system according to the GFS. We'll see what the 18Z run says, but regardless, some moisture is still being moved onshore. Looking at our upper level winds, our 200 millibar winds, we can see one upper level low right here, and then the other one right here with our system in between. These upper level lows are going to be moving with the system backing towards the west as we go over the next few days. Wind shear doesn't look terribly high over the system. As of right now, there really isn't much 5 knots of shear. Very unidirectional winds as we go up the atmosphere, and relatively the same speed of 15 to 20 knots. Taking a look at our low-level vorticity at 850 millibars, we can see our wave here. On the model, it still shows it as a wave, even though right now it does look to be closed. And it does close as it does move onshore Monday evening. And it is moving this way because of a high pressure system to a subtropical high to its north, which is pushing it off to the west. And we saw when we took that area average sounding, again, that we have uniform winds out of the east, um, pushing it off to the west. But as we go out in time, it is going to turn to the northwest because you can see that winds start to shift a little more, have a little more southerly component out of the east. Looking at waves, waves shouldn't be that big of a problem, upwards of 10 feet. Um, and if we look at moisture, we can see that, especially on the northern side, we can see um, some heavier rains moving onshore and some gusty winds. Maybe upwards of an inch or 2 inches, especially along the coast, according to the GFS model right in here. Um, let's take a look at the European model. We can see from the 12Z run this morning, it does have the wave right there, and it does bring it into the South Carolina, Georgia coast, again being steered by this ridge to its north. And we can see that show up here too with the lower heights right here, with the ridge right here, moving it into South Carolina and Georgia. It doesn't really have a low pressure system forming, even though we already have that. So this is new as of a few hours. This is obviously 12Z was 6 hours ago at this point. So we have to wait for the 18Z models to come in. The European we won't get, but the GFS we will, which will show, which will probably show something a little more stronger because it will have to initialize stronger. I don't like using the NAM for tropical weather, but it's just interesting to look at here. It doesn't really have because it usually overdoes systems, but as of the 12Z run, it doesn't really have much moving on shore. Maybe a few showers and some gusty winds. But again, some areas of upwards of 2 inches, just like the GFS said. Let's take a look at our winds. So it is showing a closed system, actually. It has an isobar there with wind barbs coming all the way around, and we do seem to have potentially, at this point, it might be a tropical depression. It does move it onshore as a low pressure system. So that's going to be it for 96L. I would say that the Georgia, South Carolina coast, especially southern South Carolina, should keep an eye on this. Probably nothing out of the ordinary, just some gusty winds and possibly some heavy rain for the most part. Taking a look at Invest 95L, I want to look both at water vapor and visible satellite imagery. So we can see a very broad system right now with easterly winds to the north, southerly winds on the eastern side, and we have very light southwesterly winds on the southern side. This is being caused by the monsoon. Dry air does not, water vapor doesn't look very interesting, just some dry air out in front of it. And we can see that southeasterly winds here show up, or southwesterly, and then as we move out, the system's over here that it really goes away. The GFS isn't really excited on this system. It's right here. It's still an open wave as it gets into the Caribbean. So the Lesser Antilles to Puerto Rico and maybe even the Dominican Republic may need to watch out for this, especially for just some gusty winds and some heavy rain. But other than that, ignore this. This is not right. but other than that, nothing out that they're not used to. That is it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below so you never miss a new video, and I will see you all soon.